So after stabbing a man in broad daylight, my players had to figure out how to solve this issue. But before they could think, the bar owner comes over and says to them, "What the fuck did you just do?" To which my players were stunned and said, "An NPC can talk?" So after getting chewed out by the bar owner for a bit, she finally says, "Well, now that you have gotten us all into this mess, you need to go find allies because the gangster boss is going to retaliate and string us all up." To which my players, fearful that they may all actually die, set out to do. They then went out to try to find some armor upgrades and allies. So they went down to the local blacksmith and saw a dwarf working on some Lorica segmentata. My players then went over to the dwarf and said, "Hey man, would you be willing to work with us to take on some gangsters?" To which the dwarf, Thorin, said, "Hell no, why would I do that?" To which my players explained the situation. Thorn, with a shocked expression on his face, said, "Well, it doesn't seem like I got any choice since they will retaliate against all of us in this district over what you did." Thorn then agrees to meet them at the bar in the evening. All this time, someone was watching them from afar, watching their movements, stalking them like a shadow. After going to the guild hall and recruiting some additional help, my players agreed to meet with the gangster boss in front of the inn at 6 p.m. This was a trap set by the players, who had realized the bartender was actually an ex-adventurer and was a good sniper, so she set up on a roof overlooking the meeting place. Tino decides that the plan will be to talk with the gang leader, while the rest of the players set up in the market stalls and wait for the right opportunity to strike. The rain begins to pour down on the city. The players have their cloaks up. The sniper is laying in ambush on a roof. Then, coming down the street, the players see the gang leader with his goons. The gang leader approaches Tino, who is in the street, and demands retribution for the men that were killed, to which the party then springs into action as they take off their cloaks in dramatic RPG style and fight back in the streets and market stalls. After some time, the gangsters tell the mage to blow up the house that the sniper is shooting them from, to which a massive explosion rocks the whole neighborhood as a fireball is cast on the building the sniper was standing on, and it comes crashing down. The players, now on the back foot, whose situation looks bleak, see a mysterious stranger come down the road with a big robot next to him. The stranger then takes off their hood and reveals themselves as a police officer. Everyone is stunned by this. The players all look at each other and say,
FBI! Clear right! Lock it down! Lock it down!
as the robot picks up a gangster and smashes him into a building. The gangsters decide to run away and save themselves, leaving their boss behind. As the police officer comes to the downed gangster boss, she fires up a red flare into the air to let the other officers know where to come. She then turns to the party and says, "You should get out of here if you know what's good for you." "He ain't going anywhere," as she kicks the downed gangster leader. To which my players eagerly agree and decide to run off. As they find the sniper half alive by the building, they decide to take her with the party. The moral of the story: don't stab a man in broad daylight in a bar. Do it at night at least.